Everybody. We're back to find out what the team is gonna do, cause I jangled some keys at them last time after there was a very heartfelt discussion, and some questions during the week led me to believe that you guys might want to investigate certain things that were there for you to mess with. I do have a job or two in mind, so don't feel like you are pressured into doing this thing because it's the only thing that I've prepared. Because the joke is, I don't prepare anything.
But it's not really a joke.
I mean, like there's that thing from the Avengers where Bruce Banner's like, "That's my secret. I'm always angry." It's like that's my
Yeah.
secret. I never prepare. I just get my I'll get my face superimposed over the Hulk and apply the
But
appropriate
but
block lettering. It'll be
but
great.
you are aware that was a lame excuse.
I mean, no, it was the best excuse and it was great.
It
Just
made for
keep
great
your pants
action,
on.
but
Yeah, but yeah, no. To my understanding, Jet and Dante are aware of a potentially lucrative business opportunity.
Indeed.
And as always, the action is on you guys.
Uh, well, I believe what we were talking about is I would get in touch with our fixer, Larry, to look into the details on the Texas Red bounty.
And that's what we're going with.
Well, at the very
um,
least, to start
I,
out.
I yeah, I think I'm interested in that too. Except I didn't get a clear answer from our three goody two shoes. Do they want to pursue a potentially lethal job? I mean, Hex told me that he had an idea about what it looks like to get a bounty,
Thing
but a
is,
wrong idea.
he's worth way more alive.
Hmm. So you call up Larry. Do you just like send Larry a text message, see what he knows about this?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Um, the quick stuff without him looking like him texting another guy, that other guy giving him back the Cliff Notes version or like the information that you don't have to pay for is that the bounty is 50,000 dead, 100K alive. The bounty is out by Knight Errant and has been outstanding for a couple of years now. And that it's maybe once every. No, let's go. For 2 years, it hasn't changed, but prior to that, it would increase a little bit at a time to kind of get people involved. So
Does he know what the bounty is for?
like the Cliff Notes version is just you know uh, let's say as a person of interest or as a is wanted as a person of interest in several cases or dead for being guilty of let's go with cop murder.
Okay.
But that's just the Cliff Notes, or perhaps the most recent reason for the bounty to be improved, or maybe just the most heinous thing that he has done in Knight Errant's eyes of description of corporate property.
As long as it doesn't involve the words toxic or insect, I am happy.
No, those bounties are much higher.
I mean, that checks off all my boxes. I'm good to go for it.
If you guys want to get more specific information, we can roll some dice and spend some cash, or uh, talk to more specific people.
Well, before we go spending cash, does anyone have a problem with trying to collect on this bounty?
I'm good.
Well, I'm going to assume that it's kind of late at night and you guys open up a call to everybody else. so we can do this like in character thing, this role play thing.
That's kind of what I was doing.
Oh, okay.
I was just applying clarity.
I'm good.
So, for clarity's sake, how are we going to pitch this to Hex to explain, like, this is a really bad guy and we need to get him off the streets?
He murdered police officers.
He's a wanted criminal.
That actually sounds like a really easy sell.
Yeah, and our goal, at least up front, is just to bring him to the police, turn him in. Well, to knight errant,
Same difference.
more or less.
So how are we going to move on this?
Shouldn't we first get like all the information about him available?
Yeah.
I mean, from what Dante said, if he said anything, or Jet, I just never can seem to figure you guys out. One of you said that he impaled the guy just for talking to him.
He didn't.
About the bounty, but still.
Yeah. His friend slammed, I think, a chair over some guy, dropped him, and then Tex over there, he took, I think, a chair leg and just jammed it into.
That was all the troll. The troll stood up, grabbing the chair, wrecked dude number one with it as he like fell forward because he was leaning his leg on it, and then troll took the chair leg and stabbed the other dude like straight in the neck by the collarbone.
Yeah. So we might want to look up who he runs with, see if the troll matches any descriptions. Maybe there's a bounty out on him. I don't feel comfortable with that dude just walking around after we take out his friend.
Okay, Jason be like, please guys, I guess I'll search the Matrix and see what I can find.
Sure. Do you want to go ahead and roll that out for one and then the other? Because obviously you're going to get very different information because you know a lot of details about the one guy and you don't know a lot of details about the troll.
Should I?
I'm looking for Texas Red first, right?
Okay. And what length matrix search are you going for? Because they require a different number of hits.
Is the 30-minute one, is it like good?
That's about 3 minutes. Or I'm sorry, that's about 3 hits.
Okay.
And that'll get you some... That'll be like the kind of time where you start clicking blue links on Wikipedia, and then you're like, oh, I've learned something.
You can afford to take some more time to learn all you can. It's not like we need to get running in an hour or two.
Yeah, clock's not ticking on this one.
Okay, so what would the long Matrix search be then?
The long, I believe, is 12 hours and is a 6-hit threshold, and it gets you actively hidden or attempted erased data.
So, like, this is a criminal, so I'm assuming most of this can be actively hidden or
be
erased.
Can't hear you.
I said this is like a criminal, so I'm assuming it's actively hidden or probably mostly, erased. At least potentially trying to be erased data. So I'm gonna go.
Yes and no. Some of the stuff is going to be out there on the Matrix at large. If you wanted to get really good information, you could hack Knight Errant and go through their files. But that's a completely different thing.
Like, does somebody want to go around tonight, Aaron, and get me a Roomba so I can grab it?
We do have the contacts, Miranda and Frank. I mean, if this is a legal job.
That's a good idea.
I could give Frank a call.
So, is this an extended test?
It can be extended if you want. But you
Or is
got.
that just like the
Are
one
you?
roll,
Which one are you going for?
the long like 12-hour?
Okay. Yep. This will be an extended test, and this is going to take you more or less all day, assuming you can, hit 3 more successes on your loan, or you could edge this because you guys are free to do whatever it is you will right now. If you go a couple of days, I will have a job offer for you, but that's just how things go.
Okay, so extended tests
You just drop a die
are
off and reroll.
okay. That's what I thought. I just want to make sure.
Yep. Don't get up there, kitty.
Well, that was even better.
Yeah, no, that's great. Would you would you like to edge that one? Since now we're approaching 36 hours. And from the looks of things, 36 hours in hot sim. So
Yeah, I should probably edge that one. I think I will edge that one
sure.
because I've got what 10 dice to re-roll there.
Sure do.
9 dice. 9 dice to re-roll.
Yep. As I look to answer Rod's question.
I mean, it could be just Chummer's stupidity, but
Hero Lab shows me that you can get up to rating 6. And that it's all 14F, so however much you want to pay for it, go crazy. It'll be that more satisfying when I blow that vehicle up. Just kind of waiting for Hex to roll so that we can roll out Frank's connection thing. Alright, so it'll take you about 16 hours? Something like that. And then if you want to roll Frank, we'll see what kind of information Frank can get you.
That was twice connection plus loyalty, right?
Correct. And what's your intention here? Are you going to ask him to meet up to hang out somewhere? You got some things? You just communicating the want over the phone? What kind of message?
Probably ask him out for a beer and to talk about a potential bounty I'm looking to collect on.
Okay.
Shouldn't your edge be back since we're on a new run, Hex?
This is like right after the end of the previous
Gotcha.
run, so yeah, no. With 2 hits, he'll be more than happy to go out and meet you somewhere. Do you have a place in mind, or
Not the Dusty Trail.
that's a safe bet? Do you want to pick a place, or do you want him to pick a place?
You can pick a place.
Okay, he'll shoot you a what should we call it? A GPS location, and attached to it'll be no funny stuff.
Wouldn't dream of it. I'll send him back.
I mean, it's Dante. He's never funny.
He sends back a troll thumbs up emoji, which is like 2 lines of text. One is the thumb, the other is the hand. Because, their hands are so big.
It just takes up the screen.
Yeah. Does anybody else want to do anything? We got a little while to wait on Hex's thing, and going out for a beer later on is, a little bit later.
I'll probably call Larry too.
Okay. He gave you the Cliff Notes version. Do you want to have him dig for more information? Because that will begin to cost you money.
I mean, find out how much he wants to charge to do some
Sure.
looking into it. But
Do me a favor and roll 11 dice, and we'll see the potential upper limit of how much information you can get from him. So he kind of messages you back. He's like, "Yeah, no, I got a couple of fingers in the the bounty hunter circles helps to know when my guys screw up, that kind of thing, and how to keep them safe by paying the right people. I'm confident I can get you some good information on this guy. It'd be mechanically it'd be about 500 new yen per hit, but it'll be pretty solid stuff.
Everyone comfortable chipping in on that?
Sorry, what was the damage on that?
400 million each it would be if we
Yeah,
chip
that's worth it.
Okay.
That's about as much I earned on those damn drugs.
The drugs are just paying for your next thing. All right, so he'll let you know that he'll start talking to some people, and we'll come back to you with some information in an hour or two.
in. Okay.
I'm gonna put another plate up on the stick and have that spinning. But if nobody else has anything, we can go ahead and
Actually,
go ahead.
yeah, I do.
Sure.
I would like to contact one of my contacts, Maller.
Tell me about
and-
Mallory.
Jet served in Bogota with him. He's kind of like a mix between a wise sensei and that inappropriate uncle who would sneak you beer
I look
in the
forward to a
garage.
couple more years of being that uncle for my brother. Right now, I'm the
Yeah.
buy annoying toy uncle.
Yeah, and he's a he does martial art. He runs a dojo, and he does stuff for. He teaches some of the more impressive techniques for shadow runners and that sort.
Sure. When you were in Bogota, what were you dealing with?
Mainly city sweeps. A lot of sort of not quite anti-terrorism, but fighting against the Amazonians and kicking down doors, that sort of thing.
Did you have anything to do with Aslan?
Yeah,
Were you working?
they were. We weren't working technically for them, us personally, but our outfit was getting paid by a branch of them.
Okay. Go ahead and let's see some dice and let's see what he comes up with.
Yeah, and that's connection times 2 plus loyalty, right? Or is it the other way around?
I feel like in this situation, as it's more of like a war story history thing, I feel like it would be 2 times loyalty plus his connection, because there is a chance
Okay.
that something here comes up. Oh man. So the first question I have for you is what information about the situation are you giving him?
He's basically as close to a father figure as I have, so the whole shebang.
Okay. Do you start with his friend or do you start with Texas Red?
Since I only have Texas Red's name, or rather, he's the only one who I know their name, I am going to describe the situation and then describe the troll with him.
Okay. So you ask him, and you start talking about Texas Red, and he's like, "Yeah, I know that guy. He ran some other ops for Aslan down in Bogota. Uh, man, he was brutal, like even when not necessary. Um, the so mechanically, you're going to get a lot more information out of this other part of it, his friend, than Texas Red, because a lot of his things are going to be war stories, where it's mostly just this guy being a monster. You're going in there and you get in a firefight, and he just, he does not roll non-lethal. He usually rolls either explosive or APDS, and really likes his heavy weaponry, like really likes it.
So he was basically as close to a war criminal as you could get without ending up in Nuremberg, right?
Yeah, kind of. Like, he is the kind of guy that they were like, we need you to go clear out this building, and the building is going to be clear. He also knows that that's where he got some of his augmentation. Um, he doesn't know the specifics because obviously he's, not a cyberdoc, but he did see him lose an arm down there, and then within a couple of days was back up and running with a shiny new metal arm.
I think he had corporate backing.
Well, he kind of like shrugs at you because you guys were kind of corporate backed at that time.
You know what I mean, Malware.
And he'll probably, but this was years ago, so I don't know if he's still involved with them. You will see when you talk about his friend, he gets a little bit of a shudder go through his body. He's like, that Fragger reminds me of somebody I know. He's also somebody that I saw die.
Did he get better?
I mean, there was some pretty heavy resistance, and you don't really get better from kind of being blown in half.
Are we sure we're talking about the same guy then?
Well, the guy I'm thinking of, and he's going to describe similar features, but, a giant ugly troll is still a giant ugly troll. The same kind of brutality, paled around with Texas Red a bit. And he'll just give you, like, the heebie-jeebies about it. Like, something about this is stuff that he doesn't even really want to talk about, because you get that whole wartime ugliness, and he doesn't really want to bring that back up. But he gives you the impression that the other guy is also bad news, but a different kind of bad news.
This zombie Fragger does he have a name?
I know what he went by, and it was
I'll take what I can get.
Gordo Crunch.
Really?
Straight-faced.
Okay. That sounds like a cereal.
There's ever so much the tiniest, like, crink in that, like, no, bro, I'm super serious about this. And then it's like, he'll end with, like, there's something not natural about that man. And if he is the man that is up there, not up there, because you guys are in Seattle, but if he's somehow here, I don't want any parts of it, and you shouldn't want any parts of it.
Well, we'll do our research, and if we're talking about the same guy, I'll have to think long and hard.
And he's like, if the worst should happen, I'll pour one out for you. Where would you like to be buried? And then he kind of gets into, like, a morbid sense of humor, and kind of pushes off from that subject.
You know me, confetti.
Right about that time, the camera's gonna, like, zoom out with the from wherever it is you guys are hanging out, probably the dojo, and it'll fade in on a bar in downtown. Do you have any, like, local area knowledge or anything for the place that you are going to?
I do have some area knowledge. Seattle, Crook Hangouts.
Sure, you can
Sprawl
go ahead
Life.
and roll whichever of those with a specialty is highest. All right. So it seems like a nice bar.
Okay.
It's in a clean section of neighborhood, that kind of thing. Um, there's a lot of very similar looking cars in the parking lot. They all seem to be Honda Artemises. Uh,
Nice.
you know, you gonna do anything before you go inside? And are you carrying anything funny on you?
I'm not gonna be, no.
That's a good answer. So going in, you're gonna kind of have a moment where you scan the room looking for the people you're here to meet, Frank, and you notice an awful lot of blue in here. This is very much a cop bar that you have just walked into. And then back in the corner, you're going to see both Frank and Miranda.
Perfect. All right, so he's gonna nod a little bit to himself, kind of under his breath, just say, "Of course," and just put a giant smile on, and walk up to the two of them.
Do you want to give me just like a composure or an etiquette roll or something like that to kind of like not look like a horrible criminal in a room full of cops? Because I can only imagine it's slightly nerve-wracking.
Hide your neck tattoo.
Did you bring the cop suit?
2 successes. Yay.
So there's a couple of people you'll see give you a little bit longer eye than normal. But, you know, you're going over there to sit with a pair of officers. And, you know, every officer has one of their stoolies or something like that. So maybe you're just a snitch. Who knows?
Who knows, indeed.
And, no, there's a chair there. There's a couple of them, actually. Frank has a big old beer. Miranda has what looks like maybe a glass of wine or just some kind of fruity drink. And Frank has a big plate of nachos in front of him.
Oh, I wish I went there with him. Oh,
I'm not putting nachos in my pocket for you, Rod. Sorry.
He only takes those kind of sacrifices for Hex.
any meat? I know.
Hex would probably be greatly appreciating some nachos. Just, searching on the Matrix all day makes you hungry.
All right, so he's gonna walk up and confidently pull up a seat at the table, like he's not nervous at all. Make an extra effort to notice where the closest exit might be in case things go crazy.
Sure.
But without letting that facade crack, he's just gonna smile. Hey, Frank, Miranda, what are you two drinking?
Miranda is gonna look not excited about that, but looking down at her her drink, that's still mostly full in front of her. Frank will pick up his mug of soy wiser and he downs it and goes, "You buying?"
Of course I am.
So, I imagine you motion the bartender, and he's gonna come over with a soy wiser and to get your order.
I'll just have a soy wiser as well, please.
Sure. And that'll come over in a little bit. And Miranda's gonna look you up and down. Remind me, you weren't the one that met with her last time, right?
Correct.
No, yeah, that was Jet.
I was not even there. You guys order food, or are you sticking with the appetizers?
Frank takes a giant handful of nachos and begins to shovel them in his face. Miranda's gonna be like, "Well, that depends upon why you called my partner. He told me where he met you, so..." And she'll cross her arms and is judging you in like the mom who knows you're lying kind of way, but we'll see, is trying to see if you'll admit it.
All right. So a little knowledge before I go talking myself into a corner. With bounties being out by Knight Errant, like it's legit, I would be looking to collect on one, right? It's not like if I say I'm looking to collect on a bounty, that they would just be like, "Nope, that's illegal."
Do
Do you have
a bounty hunter's license?
I do not.
Okay. Um,
So you're asking for a friend.
Technically, I think it's like one of those things where yes, this person is a wanted criminal, that kind of thing. Like you could bring them in. Um, for you particularly, without an actual license, they would probably charge you an exorbitant amount of money to attach a. You know, like when you go to trade in the car, and it's like, oh well, you're missing this, so I'm going to dock you this. I'm going to dock you this paperwork and that kind of stuff. So they
But
could,
it's a citizen's arrest.
right? Um, does anybody here actually have a bounty hunter's license?
I think we're criminals.
No,
No.
that's fine. Like it is a thing that you could attach to a fake sin.
I believe I'm going to look into one.
Sure, not a
And I'm a
problem.
face, I usually do.
Um,
I buy a crap load
How
of fake
long
sins,
does it?
crap load of licenses.
How long does it take? You just have to pay for it to get it.
it depends upon what rating you're looking to get. It should be pretty easy to do, just because they're not terribly expensive things. Just keep in mind that when you go to turn in this bounty, they are going to scan your sin to verify that you have a bounty hunter's license, because they are like actually an official bounty versus, you know, rolling up on the accused, like the organized crimes. If they had a bounty out, you could roll up, throw the guy down on the ground, dramatically rip the bag off of his head, and be like, "Ha ha!" And then they'll hand over cash. Knight Errant's like, "Okay, we need this for paperwork. Who are you? Oh, that's your sin."
Okay. All right. So going back in character with him,
Mhm.
I'm gonna take a sip of the beer. Also help myself to some of the nachos. Well, I was out with a friend a couple nights ago, and I happened to overhear somebody talking about a bounty on a fellow named Texas Red.
Miranda will raise a perfectly arched eyebrow, because she's pretentious elf. Uh, Frank will do a little bit of that, like as he's consuming the nachos, and they'll have a moment to look at each other, and then look back at you. Okay, and
Well, I heard that there was a substantial amount of Nuyen involved for his live return to Knight Errant. And I was just checking in for some information and details on the bounty itself.
Can you give me whatever it is you want to try and read the situation? Like if you have some, like I know you have judge intentions would work. If you have something else that is appropriate, you feel you could do that instead.
I think Judge Intentions is probably the most appropriate of what I'm seeing I have.
Okay. Because there's gonna be a couple of things here, and a little bit of information you can get out of them in certain fashions. As my kitty is looking at me through the wall. So with 4 hits, you're going to see that Frank is getting a little upset. Something about this is angering up his blood, and Miranda seems to actually be relaxing a little bit. I'm sorry, what was your actual question before I got on that side tangent?
I said that I was at a bar and I heard somebody talking to Texas Red and mentioned a bounty.
Okay.
And I was just looking for details.
So Frank is going to keep quiet. Miranda's going to relax a little bit, go from the school teacher, kind of. Yeah, that is correct. We have a bounty out for him, and it is substantial, some would say.
All right, well, picking up on the situation with Frank.
And if you want to ask any clarifying questions, please do so.
Oh, I will. But before I start badgering them on more information, I want to try and diffuse whatever situation might be brewing with Frank. So, Whoa, Frank. Sorry if I struck a chord. I didn't mean any offense or disrespect or anything.
And he'll kind of like he'll look down to Miranda, and she'll give him a little bit of a, yeah, go ahead. And Frank will pound his second beer. Well, second beer that you're aware of. Who knows how much
Yeah.
a troll actually drinks.
You want a third? And I'm just going to start waving for the bartender, not even waiting for an answer.
Yeah. He has gotten a grimace on his face, and Miranda has kept quiet, and the beer will come down, and then the bartender will kind of feel the air and quickly make himself scarce, because, you know, Frank will come in with it. He killed my first partner.
Oof. Sorry to hear that, bud.
It was years ago, back before we got the order to leave him be. We tried to bring him in, and he'll start like pulling at his uniform that he's wearing to lift it up to show you, because, you know, he's sitting in a chair, but he's 9 foot tall, so he can easily show you like his abs, where there's just, well, it looks like there's bullet wounds that have scarred over, and there's a lot of them that kind of just start maybe halfway from his belly button over, and then they just stitch across that. Killed my
Oof.
partner. I barely lived.
Fuck me. I'm going to take a big drink of the soy wiser.
Miranda will pat him reassuringly on the arm on the side that she's sitting on. We have official orders to leave this to outside contractors and bounty hunters. We are not to pursue, and she'll, you know, look up into the air and kind of count things off her fingers. Pursue, engage, agitate, or really do anything other than minimize collateral damage in regards to one Texas Red.
Well, guy sounds like a right piece of shit. And I think we could all do with having him off the streets. But I mean, Frank, if this guy's really upset you as much as he did, I'll defer to you. If you want, I can go after the guy. If you want me to leave him alone, say no more.
He will kind of straighten up and put a little bit of that cop mask on. Official policy is to not deal with one individual by the description of one Texas Red. I can't tell you what to do, Chummer, but I wouldn't mind seeing him off the streets.
By the way, Dante, are you streaming this conversation, or is it just between you and them?
I'll play it back for you guys later.
Okay.
So after Frank speaks, he's gonna slowly turn his gaze over to Miranda, take another pull of his soy wiser. Is that consensual?
What do you mean by consensual? Rob is confused.
Do you agree with that? Like, do you share that same perspective?
She's gonna look at Frank, and she's gonna look at you, and take a deep sigh. All right, Frank's not too good at hiding things. So when I asked him who he was gonna meet, he told me, you know, a friend from the convention. I met your other friend. At least I'm going to assume it's your other friend, unless you're part of different teams or that kind of stuff. And what you guys do is illegal. I mean, I could probably let out a bit of details here. She motions around to the bar, and I'm not sure you would get out.
You certainly could. And I'm sure you could very well put it in a less than favorable light. But fact of the matter is, what we do is get paid to help people out. Some people like me help people in harmful manners,
She
and they're
kind
a
of scoffs
drag
when you
to
say
society.
she kind of scoffs when you say helpful manner. You're all the same. You're just in it for the union.
We all got to survive somehow, don't we?
And it's because you helped us out with that other thing that I don't do what I alluded to. I can't tell you whether or not it's a good idea to go after this bounty. I actually can't. If they found out that I was directly involved in somebody else being murdered by that maniac, the paperwork alone would have me off the streets for a week, let alone any punitive measures. So we can't help you. They can't help you. She'll motion to the rest of the room.
I'm not looking for help. All I was looking for was a discussion on some details. I don't want to put either of you two in a worse spot than you might already be in.
I appreciate that.
So,
Frank gives you a solemn nod as he kind of pulls himself back together. He has finished that third beer somewhere in your conversation. You're not sure.
I'm happily going to waive for another one if he wants it.
The bartender brings over 2 troll-sized mugs this time.
So if you two just don't want to be involved, you want to wash your hands of it, I can walk out right now. If you want to give me any details, hints, tips that might help get this guy off the street and remove him as a danger to society, we can sit and finish our beer. Otherwise, I'll pay the check and be on my way.
So at this point, we'll kind of break out of it, and you got like 2 hits on his test as to what they can kind of easily supply you with without putting themselves in any kind of danger. What questions would you like to ask to have answered from a police perspective? And really anyone, because this is just kind of information gathering.
Yeah.
Nothing? You don't want anything from the cops?
Oh, of course I do.
We just don't want to waste the questions that he got.
All right. So I'm figuring we might want to know where he might be known to hang out in addition to the Dusty Trail.
There have been sightings of him all kind of throughout the more lawless areas of Seattle. He seems to come up from the Cass once, maybe twice a year, and he's here for a couple of weeks before he goes away. Since the police have stopped kind of pursuing him, he has stopped, waging a one-man war. Or two-man war in this case.
All right. And now, prior to asking, obviously, if anyone else has any other options or suggestions, I was thinking about asking about any recent crimes he's been known to be a part of.
His pal as well.
I was thinking any other known associates or affiliations.
Aliases would be a good thing, because if you're trying to talk about one person, maybe knowing other names they might go by could probably help find them too. At least from my perspective on the Matrix, because if we know he also goes by this other name, it can help me find more information.
So this is where the mechanical side of like public awareness, notoriety, and street cred come into play. This guy's got a lot of it. So it's pretty easy to find information for things that he has done as Texas Red. They don't have a list of aliases for him. The troll they have a small bit of information on. They will confirm that a known associate of Texas Red is Gordo Crunch, and they will also mention that there was a bounty out on him that was turned in dead 2 years ago.
That's a little bit like metagaming, but I'm getting excited.
Are you saying we might be able to get 2 bounties for one, maybe?
Well, to break it down for you, at the moment, the one for Gordo Crunch is not valid because in their records, um, as far as Knight Errant in Seattle is concerned, he was turned in dead.
All right. That's a lot of information for 2 hit. So I'll just sit around, shoot the shit for a little while. I don't
Sure.
just want to get up and run, and happily pay the entire bill for whatever they've spent.
Sure,
at
sure.
the-
It's not like, what's your lifestyle?
I'm only paying for a low.
Okay, so if you want to drop like $100 just to buy a bunch of beers and some nachos, and Miranda will get some kind of low-fat dessert at some point in whatever you get. She will actually become a little more personable once the talk has gone off of business things, so that she's not always a giant bitch. And then real quick before we go to our first break, Hex, what would you like to know with the giant pile of information that you have gotten that we have not covered already? Because you get some good stuff.
I get good stuff. You mean I didn't like critically glitch a matrix search for once?
No, you actually just succeeded without screwing it up.
Huzzah! Ooh, and I got 6 hits.
Well, keep in mind some of that is just the threshold. So,
Yeah, I'm just looking at the threshold thing to show.
yeah.
Yay.
And you will. Some of this will also come back from Larry's guy because you did pay a bunch of money to that guy. So let's get you a return on that investment as well.
Okay, so like, I want to know like any kind of recent activity. Like, has anything popped up recently as far as things he may have been involved in, or recent
There was a
stuff?
recent border crossing into the Seattle area that involved a pretty sizable gunfight. Heavy weapons were deployed, and there were a couple of officer casualties. One person ended up dying. A bunch of other people were just heavily injured. This is a couple of days ago.
Hax, can you, with your like matrix knowledge and looking at posts and whatnot, determine what kind of weapons?
It is true. What kind of weapons? Like, what are we up against?
Somewhere in your picture you're searching, you're gonna find a still image that's kind of fuzzy, of a guy who looks maybe like a little bit of a younger Texas Red. He in fact only has one cyber arm in that picture, as opposed to the current version that has two. And he is carrying around a very large gun. Do you have any kind of firearms knowledge?
Are you sharing? Because I have.
Yeah, you can send me the link as well.
Sure. If you guys want to go ahead and roll those out real quick. This isn't going to be a super high check, but the higher the check, the...
Wait. Would that require knowledge? Like, could I use my practical knowledge or no?
If you have like heavy weapons as a skill, you could use that as like your... That skill.
Okay,
If
then
you
no.
have armorer, you could use
Alright.
that. If you have a firearms knowledge skill, you could use that.
All right, yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with no on that.
You can just do a quick Google to see how much information you can get against this thing. Never mind.
Or you could ask.
All right.
I know what that is. I've seen it.
You perhaps have seen these things. This is a GE Vindicator minigun. It is 6 rotating barrels of high-powered fuck you.
Good lord.
They typically have a belt of about 200 rounds. They fire full auto all of the time. And just
So,
some
like,
stuff that you can see from the picture with your hits here. It has like a gas vent on it. It has like a foregrip, and it seems to be tweaked out to maximize recoil compensation, so that it can full auto all of the time.
So as I'm sort of walking around, excited about that bounty thing, as soon as I look at the picture, you see Rod's face go kind of down and long. It's like, oh man, that will wreck my shit.
If you could, like, find anything on Gordo.
Also look into any record of surgeries he's had for his cyberware. See if there's anything else we can find that's not
That's
obvious.
Can we? Well, that'll be hard to find, but I wouldn't be able to find anything about what kind of cyberware he may have had implanted.
So between your searching and a bit of the information that comes back from Larry, he is extensively cyberwared and is one tough fragger. Like, dude is no joke. Gets in gunfights, walks away from gunfights, leaves trail of destruction.
Hex.
Yeah, you're coming in low.
Could you look at like criminal affiliations? And I don't know if this would be possible with your level of success, but if he recently, within the last couple of days, got into a firefight at a border crossing that left officers dead, I'm kind of curious as to why the top brass has told them they have to leave this guy alone.
Probably because he's extraordinarily dangerous.
So part of the searching you're going to find here is that in the beginning his bounty was significantly lower, and then people went to collect on it, and those people died, and then more people went to collect on it, and those people also died, and the bounty kept going up. And eventually Knight Errant was like, all right, there was a Knight Errant official operation or two that you're going to find out about. And those officers ended up dead. And eventually it became a thing where, like, you know what? He's only here for a couple weeks out of the year. Let's just not poke the bear.
Yeah, Hicks is gonna send you that message. It looks like a nice pile of bodies.
Now, guys, I mean, we have other jobs. I mean, I just bought half of my drones. I'm not that.
Imagine what another 20,000 million could do for you.
I mean, you're paying me this before I go and get all my drones shot up to shit.
Well, that's just part of the life we live, friend.
Not necessarily. That depends on how well we plan.
If we do this, direct confrontation is totally off the table. Anything that makes my friend that hold on, I'm trying to find the word. That nervous, that's serious. Hex, if you've got anything on Gordo, smash.
Crunch.
Crunch, whatever. That doesn't contain bran or raisins. Let me know, because he seems like he might be the worst of the two.
Now, Rod will sit down as soon as we're all talking about it or stuff, and put his hands into this little pyramid kind of thing with his fingers out extended, and it's gonna be like, listen, we have one troll that is on a picture posing with a minigun, blazing fire into police officers and stuff. And then we have a guy that's supposedly dead. So direct confrontation isn't only on the table. It is probably gonna happen. I mean, this guy, I believe he will go through 4 of our traps and then keep going and then find us and then kill us. So if we won't get him now, there's There's not going to be a later.
What do you think
So-
I meant by not going direct in confrontation?
I mean, not going direct in confrontation is a cool idea, but I think we have to assume that it's going to happen. And that is not a good thought, not yet. I mean, as far as I know, I'm the only one who has like an armored vehicle, which is not even a tank. And I saw that minigun, and it's not going to last long.
Let me jump in here real quick about the minigun because you got a giant pile of hits on it. The minigun itself is mechanically, for game mechanics, is full auto only. It is 9p AP -4 base.
So technically speaking, it wouldn't be that lethal to armor.
Well, that's like if he has explosive ammunition or APDS in it, that will change the weapon profile. But you can't really tell that from a picture. Especially
Okay,
a
but
picture that was years ago. So it could be like 9p AP -8. Or
Well,
it could be like
seeing as this guy is rumored to go and leave a trail of destruction, and I'm like the worst scenario kind of guy,
yeah.
and I'm assuming he's gonna have something.
I believe I mentioned somewhere in there that he enjoyed explosive ammunition or APDS. So
Yeah.
that would be like
That
12p
was somewhere-
-8 or 11p -5. As far
Yeah,
as
so suddenly Rot is not that excited. I mean, after seeing that picture and after adding 2 + 2, yeah. Do we have, and I'm like looking over my group, do we have anyone who could stand in front of this guy at any point?
I'm much more fond about shooting people in the back.
Never been a fan
Well-
of getting shot.
His friend will be in his, like, behind his back, I assume at least.
Mm.
So, like,
he is extensively cyberware. Is this something that Hex you could disable portions of him?
I could try, but that's going to be hard. Now, here's an idea. They do have cyberware scramblers. Now, I don't know if they have them in 5th edition or how hard it would be to get one. Like, not scramblers, I guess, but like disablers that you can, like, if you can apply to the cyberware, it disables a lot of, illegal functionality in it. So, like, if it's an arm, you can still move the arm, but, like, hidden weapons and, like retarded levels of strength and things like that are, like, deactivated.
Yeah, that
Less.
I am not
That's
aware of such a
good.
thing.
They had them in 4th ed, but they were mostly for like GMs and law enforcement. So, like, if you were to go to
But,
prison, instead of removing your cyber arm, they'd more or less put like a chip in it and disable all your illegal functions.
If you want to try and find some way to get a chip into this guy's cyberware without him noticing, I'm gonna give you a thumbs up on that plan.
Well, my
Yeah,
assumption is he's got to get an upgrade or get it tweaked and worked on.
Rot, do you think that you could rig up an EMP?
EMPs don't work in
That's
Shadowrun.
small nuclear-
Basically,
What?
everything is basically hardened because otherwise the entire thing the entire setting would fall apart.
Okay.
Everything is electronic.
I was gonna say,
All
not
right.
just
Take two.
it's a small nuclear explosion. Like, you really want to go get nuclear devices?
If you
Yes,
guys-
so I'm the same thing, like, EMP? What? No!
No. Okay. Let me do a second take on that one. All
Sure.
right.
If you guys
Right.
want to get a small nuclear bomb for this guy, we can work that out.
I'm saving that for Miss Cleo over there.
Mm.
Worst comes to
Okay, so
Rot, can your drones carry cluster grenades of stun grenades?
listen.
And let's pretend that I phrased that properly.
I can do it. I don't think, if we want to spend some time and look over the black markets, there are drones that are like strafe bomber drones. But other than that, I can have like one of the delivery Pelican drones. I have at least one to just fly next to him and detonate stuff. But my assumption is, and looking at the at Jet, at Hex, and at Sue, and like a little bit of Dante, I think we should go in hot and hard and lethal and assume he's gonna live through it, and then take him alive. Because I don't think going in half measures we're gonna achieve anything here.
Okay,
I'm not
so
even sure if I want to take this run.
here's an
Yeah.
idea. Would anybody be willing to get capsule rounds, a rifle, and neuro stun in them?
Yeah,
Got
I can
think
capsule
do-
rounds.
we can
I
go
can-
full bore and non-lethal, and I think that honestly it will be easier to take him, stun him, or knock him out, poison him, one of these type of things, than it would be to use, regular ammunition.
I want to jump in with a mechanics thing real quick, since you guys mentioned capsule rounds and rifles. Capsule rounds are limited to light pistol ranges no matter what fires them.
Oh, that's awful.
So-
Okay,
Yeah, well, I was thinking of, stick and shock out of the biggest gun that Jet can use.
See,
Or
Jet,
we could mount a turret on my van. Sorry, Heck.
why couldn't you be a giant troll with a bow and arrow, really good archery skill, stick and shock, and static shaft?
Because it's bad in 5th edition by comparison to 4th.
Oh, but it's so cool.
Yeah. So let's take our first break while you guys mull this over, because suddenly there seems like some hesitation about the idea of this plan. And
Yeah, guys, I get a vibe that with the sentiment that Bamce said that he will let us know with a pile of money that the job is dangerous, and along with the information we got that the guy is dangerous.
this is called
just assuming.
foreshadowing.
But like I said, I'm more interested in his supposedly dead friend.
Yeah, we
So
can.
once we find that out, yeah.
Guys, I'm actually thinking about maybe getting him as a contact. I mean, if you can't kill him, maybe get him
Make
on
him
your
your friend.
side.
Yeah.
And the police seems to be afraid of him, so that's good.
And then we just sneak
Not
up with
necessarily.
on him with a syringe full of bleach.
Right.
Or we declare him dead.
Well, they're gonna want a body somewhere in there for claiming a pile of money. Really, just
Yeah, we call up Texas, and he gives them plenty of bodies.
All right. So
All right.
I'll see you guys in a couple of minutes.